Well, very good afternoon, folks. It is 2 o'clock Eastern, Wednesday, October 26th, and this is session number 4 of 6 sessions that make up, in total, our Intro to Investing workshop that we're offering today. Hopefully, you've had an opportunity to join us on one or more of the previous sessions. The good news is every session is recorded, and you can visit us at etrade.com/workshop, and you'll be able to find information there. Also, just a couple of quick things. We got a lot to cover here today, but there are always new folks at each session, so a couple of quick things. First of all, there is a little Q&A button. You can click on that, and you can send in questions or feedback. We've got a couple folks watching those coming in, and we'll respond as best as possible. On these sessions, we also have a resource button, and for those sessions that have a presentation, you can download the PDF right here. You can pick that up, take it with you. So good stuff. Also, as we get started today, just want to let you know that everything we talk about is for educational purposes only, and nothing should be construed as a buy or sell recommendation. So this one is a little more hands-on than perhaps what we've done so far today. This is an opportunity to take a look at 2 of the platforms that we offer. We're going to look at eTrade Mobile, and we're going to look at etrade.com as the website. Now, these are not the only platforms that we have available to you for research, for trading, for all the things that you want to do transactionally, statements, and so forth. But I think you're going to get a good overview, and really the goal here is to show you at a top level what some of the capabilities are for the mobile platform and etrade.com, and know just that you can use them both together as it suits you. So with that, I'm going to jump into the mobile platform. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically walk through the menu list that's at the bottom of the app. So when you go grab the app, you open it up, you'll see that across the bottom is a global menu with 5 points. And we're just going to take a quick tour through those 5 points to introduce us to mobile. And then Dave will come in and walk us through some highlights of the etrade.com. So as you can see, there's accounts, watch list, trade, markets, and menu. Now, when you first log in, when you first open it up, you're going to be at what we call the dashboard or the accounts page. And you're going to see a lot of top-level information displayed. It's kind of the go-to page that allows you to see what's happening with your account and what's happening with the market. So let's move over to the actual app itself. Let's take a look at that and see what we have.
Okay, let's begin at the login page. You have your user ID, your password. You'll notice the icon next to the password, the icon. That's so you can see if you've typed your password incorrectly. We'll go ahead and hit login. This is going to take us then to the main dashboard page. You'll see across the top, you've got some good summary information, net value of the account, day gain or loss. Right below that, you see a summary of the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, so you can get a quick capture on what's going on with the markets. As we scroll down, we see our additional account information. We're going to expand on that in just a moment. But you've got some portfolio information, portfolio movers, portfolio news, what's moving in the market, briefing news. Now, what if you want to change the order of that, or maybe there's something you don't want to see? You can hit customize your view, and you can scroll the order around, toggle back and forth. A lot of ways that you can customize that to your own liking. But let's go ahead and move up to the account. And if I click on the account right there at the top, you'll see now I'm given the choice of portfolio, balances, orders, and so forth. In Portfolio, I have detailed information about what's going on in my portfolio. So I can scroll across here. I can see what's happened since I bought it, the price paid, the market valued, just information that's helpful in managing individual positions. More information is where I would go to see my year-to-date gain or loss, performance, and, for example, whether I'm participating in the dividend reinvestment program. Let's click on balances now. And here I have a detailed breakdown of things such as my long stock value, for example, or if I have bonds or mutual funds or options. What is my margin balance? What is my withdrawals have I done? It's just information that's helpful to see down at the detail level. Now, this next one is orders. This is very important because if I want to see if I've got a pending order, maybe something that's in queue that hasn't been executed, or I want to verify that an order has been filled, this is the page that I could go to look at that. I can search for particular dates. I can look to see what buys, sells, cancellations, those sorts of things. Next, I'm going to move to transactions. And under transactions, this is where I get detail on individual buy-sell transactions, dividends paid, anything that shows up as a transactional activity to my account. Next up, I've got documents. Do I want tax documents? Do I want statements? Do I want to look at a particular date range? This is where I could find that information. So you see when I go into the account detail by clicking on that right arrow at my account level, I get a lot of information at the detail that helps me understand where I am, what I may make changes to, what I need to cancel, what I need to do some research on. All of that can be found right there from your dashboard page.
Next up, we've got the watch list. That's going to be number 2 on the global menu. This is a fairly simple screen, but an important screen because a lot of people like to use watch lists just to keep tabs on what may be coming up, things with earnings and so forth.
Next up, you'll see across the bottom there is a menu item called Watch Lists. So let's go ahead and click on Watch Lists. And this is just a way for you to keep track of stocks that maybe you just want to see what's going to happen with them. Maybe you think you might want to trade them, but not quite yet. So hence the name, you want to keep an eye on them. Now, you can add stocks to watch lists by, for example, you see the add to watch list. If I could type in Walmart, it'll tell me WMT. I click on that. And then it says WMT has been added to your watch list. Very easy to add something right there. I can scroll across and see specific information about that watch list. If I want detail on, say, example, I want detail on Walmart, I can click on the symbol and it takes me to the detail page for the stock in that watch list. If I want to customize the view, I can click down below, and now it shows me what columns I can look at and what order. So, for example, let's say I want the one all the way at the bottom there, earnings per share, EPS. Let's say I wanted that closer to the top. I could just click on those 3 lines, drag it up, and drop it off, and now it's going to be closer to the top when I look at it. That way I don't have to scroll across for something that perhaps I might be interested in. You notice the pull-down menu at the top. It says My Watch Lists. I can switch back and forth between various watch lists if I have more than one. I can create a new watch list just by hitting that Create button there. So you see you've got a lot of flexibility in how to add, change the format. Watch lists can be very helpful for you to keep track of stocks that you think might be going up, stocks you think might be going down, anything you're interested in right there, watch lists.
The third one we have is trade. Now, there are different ways you can get to trade from around the app, but of course, that's going to be an important selection. And so what we'll do next is take a look at some of the functionality within trade, and whether you're trading stocks, options, whatever it might be.
The next menu item across the bottom, you'll see right there in the middle, is called Trade. Let's go ahead and click on that and see what happens. Well, you see that at the top there, rather, is my account that I'm looking at the moment, the value of the account, my purchasing power, and it's important to notice that right below that, it tells me my options approval level. So if you have been approved to trade options at a particular level, right there is where you can see easily enough how to find that. I could trade stocks, options, mutual funds. Let's go ahead and look at setting up an options trade, for example. So let's pick Walmart just as an example. And then when I select the symbol, in this case Walmart, I'm going to get my option chain. You'll see it's calls on the left, puts on the right, strikes down the middle, and I can scroll up or down, or I can go to a particular strike if I know which one I'm interested in. I've got my bid and my ask. Across the top, I have the expiration dates, or I can grab the expirations all in one view in the pull-down menu. See that? Hit on that pull-down menu, and now I've got them all together. Let's say I want to go to the November 25th, 2022. I click on that, and it takes me right to that expiration. You'll notice that I'm centering the at the money right about the middle of the page. On the left side, you'll see that the shade, it's a light purple shade there, on the calls, that shows you the in the money calls. And then if we go over to the right side, the puts are the purple shaded on the right side. So you can easily see the difference between in the money, out the money. Let's say I want to trade this. Well, one way I could do it is just simply click on a particular expiration and strike. So let's say I want to buy the 134 calls for the month that I'm looking at. Well, I can click on the ask of the 134. And here I can tell it, do I want to buy, sell, am I opening or closing? Let's say buy to open. And now it will set up the order ticket. It says buy to open, the particular option that I chose, and then I can go further to select the price type and the term. I click there, and I can choose market order, I could choose limit order, I can use a stop order if I want on the option. The term, I can make it good for the day, I can make it, of course, market is only going to be good for the day, but let's say I went and changed it to a limit, and I put in a limit price of, I don't know, let's say $4. Now I'm going to have a term that's different than good for the day, because limit could have something other than that. And you see I can go as far out as 60 days and other terms that I might be interested in. So this is all of the order information that you would have on the ticket. And then when you're done, you would go ahead and click preview down there if you want to take a look to just verify that everything is accurate before you send the order. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this right now. Do you want to cancel the order? Yeah, I'm just setting it up for illustration purposes, so let's go ahead and cancel that. And there is my trade ticket. Now, obviously, if I were trading a stock, it would look a little bit different, right? I would not have contracts. It would ask me the number of shares and all of the information that I would be interested in for a stock trade. So that is the Trade tab on the mobile platform.
Well, that was a little bit advanced in terms of options, but it gets even simpler with just buying and selling stocks. But it hopefully give you a little bit of a flavor of what you can grow into eventually. So if you're just simply looking to buy a few shares, very easy, very straightforward. Next up, we have markets. Now, markets is going to be more global. Not specific to an individual stock, but just what's going on across the board. Let's take a look and see what that looks like for us.
Next on the menu list down at the bottom, number 4 there, it says Markets. Let's go ahead and click on Markets. And you start off with an overview, and this, it's like on the dashboard, it shows you the Dow, NASDAQ, S&P 500, Bloomberg TV, what's moving, Top earnings, if you're following earnings announcements, especially during earnings seasons, this is important. Top earnings in news here. Futures, if you happen to be pre or post market, you follow this as well. And then the news, and then like with the other pages, you can customize your view. So let's say that I wanted news farther up to the top. I would grab that on the 3 lines, drag it farther up to the top, release it, apply it. Now my news is going to be right there below the market overview. From the overview, you see on the top, we have events. This is important calendar here for both earnings and events. So if I leave it at earnings, as you see on the top, you'll see that I can see what earnings are coming up for today, or let's say that I wanted to move later in the week, say choose Thursday. Then I see the earnings listed here in alphabetical order. Events, what does that mean? Well, jobless claims, the business index. These are more economic events that are not unique to individual companies. So both earnings and events on the calendar, important to keep up with. And then last on the markets is the screener. This is a very useful tool, much like the screeners that we have on Power E-Trade or on the E-Trade website. Here you can screen for stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, based on a number of different parameters. Let's say I want to go to the technicals down here at the bottom. I can click on that. And perhaps I want to say, find me a stock that's within 10% of its 52-week high. Well, right there is how I would do that. And then I can leave that to apply. We're going to open it up actually a little bit more. Let's say 61%. So we get a few more results here. I could clear everything. I've obviously got some earlier screens on here. Well, let's say that I want to clear price and volume. Just hit the clear button. If I want to clear all of them, there I go. I can clear all of these. And now you see that what I'm looking at are going to be a clean slate. So now I can start with, say, show me all stocks that are greater than, say, $10. There we go. I'm going to hit done. And now I've got, as you can see at the bottom there, 3,854. Maybe I want to find something that's compared to the past performance of the S&P 500, 0 to 20% greater over the last 4 weeks. There we go. Now when I go back here, I can continue on, add my parameters. You notice it says we can only display up to 100 search results. Right now I've got 2,260, so I need to narrow it down a little bit more. I certainly don't have a reason to look at over 2,000 results. That's just not kind of defeats the purpose of the screener. But nevertheless, you see here, a lot of good information in the markets menu.
All right, the last one we have is the menu. This is kind of the sitemap. So let's take a look at what we can get out of the menu.
Now, last but not least, across the bottom menu bar, we have something called menu, which is the general menu. We click on that. You'll see that there is just a number of different things here that you may be interested in. In a sense, it's really a sitemap. At the top, alerts. If you have alerts created or you want to create alerts, you see you could set an alert or manage them. So if, for example, you wanted to be alerted if a stock is reaching a certain price, right here's where you would do that under alerts. Banking, transactional things, check deposits, transfers. My profile, if you want to make changes to your profile. We've already seen in one spot where you could find your tax documents, but you see right here, I can go in and find tax documents for a particular year, for a particular account. This one I like, customer service. This is how you get in touch with us, and we give you a number of ways. You could leave feedback, you can send documents to us, or you could call us or live chat. So a great, easy way to get in touch with a representative as you need to. Below that, the other one that I really want to point out is the knowledge base. This is where you get additional education. Events such as the one that you're watching right now for the mobile, you can learn about investing basics. You can learn about options. What you would do here is go to All Insights, and you're going to find it categorized. And from here, you can look at things such as tax planning, retirement, market news. But if you want to find more of these webinars, scroll down to events. And right here under events is where you can sign up for all of our upcoming sessions, or you can also watch the recorded sessions on demand. So a lot of choices here from the main menu. And hopefully you'll take advantage of that as you have an opportunity.
All right. Well, folks, that is our overview of E-Trade Mobile. Hopefully you'll take a moment, check that out, and see if that's something that's good for you. And now I'm going to hand over to my friend and colleague, Dave, for a walkthrough of the E-Trade website. Dave, it's all yours.
Well, wonderful, Rick. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody, again. I want to once again remind everybody that we're doing a sort of a whole afternoon of basic stuff we're building up. This session is sort of just platform focused on the things we've talked about so far. We're going to get a little more into the actual stock market stuff in our upcoming session, so I hope you'll join me for that. Let me take over screen sharing here, and when I have accomplished this, you will be looking at where I'm bringing up my second monitor, and you will be looking at what we call the complete view page. It's the page you most likely land on when you first log in, and I'm sitting here waiting to see if I'm coming up, and it doesn't appear to me that I am. Are you guys seeing me?
This side, Dave.
All right, cool. So, all right, so as I mentioned, this is the trade where you land when you first log in. By the way, you can direct yourself elsewhere. There's a little drop-down choice there when you log in if you want to do that, but I think this is a useful page to land on. So what I want to do is give a lay of the land, a general overview of the primary navigations that you'll want to be using, and then we'll go through a few tasks, a couple of tasks. Finding an investment idea. I'll go looking for an exchange-traded fund, since that's something we had a lot of discussion about last hour. We'll look at how we view our portfolio and our holdings. We'll talk a little bit about funding your account, and with time permitting, maybe take a look at some other sort of research resources. So first, sort of a glimpse of an overall look at this page. As you can see here, the account holder's name, and this is according to your username, and your username can have multiple accounts underneath it, as this one does. And this is your greeting name. I'm an investor is the name of our investor. And by the way, if you want to change that, if you want to have fun with it, if you want to call it whatever you want, you can see here I clicked the little gear, and now here's where I can change my greeting name, and then I can name any accounts I have underneath here in whatever suitable way I choose. So in the main part, what we'll see is a summary of my account. If I scroll down further, you can see that there's another account down here. And on the right, you'll see I've got alerts of events that have recently occurred in this account. I have some holdings in here, but we're going to look at the portfolio in a little more detail coming up. But I want to bring back to the top level menu. So you can see here the complete view page, which is this right here, is within the accounts choice. So in the accounts menu, there are all these other very important repositories of information about your account. I think they're all fairly obvious what they are. I mean, portfolios, okay, that's the positions, the investments that you hold. Watch lists, those are lists of stocks that you might want to pay attention to and follow over some period of time. Orders, here's where you're going to see the history of any orders you've placed for stocks. Buys, sells, etc. Again, you can see what each of these mean. Transactions, by the way, would differ from orders in that it would also include financial movements, so deposits, withdrawals, dividends, etc. Documents for your tax documents, your brokerage statements, all out here. So that's the accounts level. The next menu is called trading, and this is where you go to make a transaction. And if you know you want to make a purchase of a stock or an ETF, you can just come in here, go to this, and you can begin the process of making that purchase, making that investment. in Rick's session a moment ago, he used an example with some options. If you're inclined to trade options, you can see that there are here. If you want to purchase mutual funds here, recognize that mutual funds are in a separate area. ETFs trade like stocks do, and we'll make a purchase of an ETF coming up. And then some of the stuff down here is a little more advanced, and some is more suitable for our discussion here. Conditionals are a type of order type that more active, sophisticated traders use. Not something that you need to be overly focused on if you're just starting off investing. Now, automatic investing, that's something I spoke about in my session earlier. The idea of creating a disciplined investment approach, making regular contributions and having that automatically invest in some sort of a diversified portfolio is, a profoundly useful way to get started on your investment life. And obviously, a lot more stuff down here, and some of this stuff is more suitable for advanced or more active traders. And then the next menu, Markets and Ideas, this is where you will go to research or learn about or find out about or look for ideas. The trading menu is where you're going to transact. Markets and Ideas is where you're going to explore and try to learn about investing, find out about stocks. If somebody told you about a stock, you can learn about it by coming in here. All right. So, and once we're here, you can see there are various groupings. One suggestion I will have, if you are a market follower, is each morning prior to the opening, come in here and click the U.S. Markets tab and simply read the lead stories that are here, especially prior to the market opening. It'll give you a rundown of what's expected. If the market's moving up, they're going to be giving you what they believe are the catalyst reasons for it. If it's falling, what are the catalyst reasons for it? So a simple way each day to sort of stay abreast of the markets. And then the last column, what we offer, is certainly something, especially if you are newer to E-Trade and to investing generally, you'll want to explore here, because there are things in here that are additional services that we have. I'm speaking here, and we'll be in the next session, just about making the transactions and thinking of investing. But at Morgan Stanley and E-Trade, we have many other important products, full suite of banking products, fully paid lending. If you're not familiar with that, this is something where if you have paid securities, you can borrow money on it in a banking relationship. We have many cash management tools, insurance, etc. Want to find out about our pricing, all of that. So those are the main menus. And then in each one, when you get to the main page there, that sub-menu will be along the ribbon here. Okay, so that's the basic navigation of the website. So now I want to get a little task-oriented and sort of walk through okay, how do I do this? Well, the first thing is funding your account, because you have to have the money here and cleared to make that first investment. So up here in the top ribbon header, you'll see transfer, and that is all things transfer, all things transfers. So that's how you move money from one E-Trade account to another. It's how you move money from your bank to E-Trade, from E-Trade to your bank, and so on. So I'm just going to click the main choice there. And it's a simple page. Basically, if you want to move money from your bank to E-Trade, you're going to add an external account. Now, this is a company test account, so there are no external accounts associated with it. There's money in this account, but it is the company's money, not mine personally. So there are no. But in my personal account, I have several bank accounts in there, and I also have several brokerage accounts in there. My kids' accounts, wife, IRA, traditional brokerage, trading account, etc. So the first step is to set up your bank account. Now, it takes a day or two, probably a couple days, maybe 3, but you give your bank information. Our back office talks to their back office, confirms identity and conditions, and then agrees that there will be flow of funds back and forth through the accounts. Once that's established, your account will appear here, and then you can select where it's transferring to. So maybe it's going to your brokerage account. Now, this uses what's called the ACH system. You don't need to know that, but what you probably would know is that things like Venmo and PayPal use the same system. So that's the same thing why it takes a couple days from a Venmo deposit to hit your bank. So moving money is easy, but just remember on that initial funding, a couple days to set up the account and then a couple days for the money to move. So give yourself a week of business days. Make sure that on a Monday you begin the process so it's there by the Friday, and then you can start thinking about your decision in your investments. And by the way, while you're here, we'll just click the Other Services tab just to remind you of the range of sort of banking and money movement services you can have with your brokerage account. All right, so that's funding the account, first things first. So let's imagine Ima would like to invest in an exchange-traded fund. She heard about them. She learned about them recently. She goes, oh, they're very much like mutual funds, but I can buy it just the same way I would buy a stock. So how are we going to go about finding one, assuming she doesn't already know? Well, let's go to Markets and Ideas and then down to ETFs. There's several ways to sort of sift through the, thousands of ETFs. One shortcut, which really to me makes a lot of sense for someone new or starting off, is to simply take a look at our All-Star ETF list. Now, the All-Star list is not, let's put it this way, these are not selected for their performance per se. They're selected for having low expenses, for their performance tracking closely to whatever index they are tracking. That is an important part of this. And so in that sense, the performance is. This is not any attempt to predict future performance. These are funds that have high fund qualities like low expenses, close correlation to whatever index they are tracking, long tenured fund managers, coming from a large fund complex, not a startup. So it has to have been in business for a long time. It has to have a significant amount of assets invested in it. So that's what makes an all-star. And we have the list for ETFs and for mutual funds. So the next point is to sort of think about plain vanilla. All right. So you'll notice that along the top are the major categories. So domestic large, so this U.S. large company stocks, U.S. mid and small company stocks, international, and so on. And we also then categorize the U.S. large stocks within that as sometimes you'll see the term blend, and then you'll see growth, and you'll see value. Now, these are topics that over time you'll understand more of, but think of it this way. Companies that are considered growth stocks are those that are expected to be growing their revenues and profits rapidly, so that therefore they generally are fast-growing stocks as well. So they're growing their earnings, selling more product, and they're very popular. And these are what many of the great technology companies, Salesforce, Google, Microsoft, et cetera. Value stocks are those stocks that are thought of as being sort of unloved compared to their earnings, so that the investors aren't very excited about them. Well, when you look at an entire index like the S&P 500, it has some growth stocks in that, and it has some value stocks in it. So therefore, this is what we call a blend, where it has some growth and some value. So you'll notice right here, the SPDR S&P 500, this is the very first ETF. It is the largest and most actively traded, and it is used by many investors as a slice of a diversified portfolio. But there are many other categories, many other ways to consider making an investment in one of these. But something plain vanilla is certainly sort of a way to think about it. Let's buy some SPY. So one of the things I can do right over here is just click the buy button. And that's one of the things about our site. Throughout the site, there's going to be ways for you to place an order on that. And then the other thing is to realize a lot of times our quotes are clickable for orders. So take a look at what's happened here. So I clicked buy. I haven't bought anything yet. what I have here is an order that I am placing for this. Notice the symbol, the ticker symbol has been all automatically deposited here, and buy is already deposited. And now I have to decide how much I'm going to buy. Now, in this arena right here, I have to buy whole share amounts. So I could buy one share. There are programs such as our automatic investing program where you can purchase fractional shares of exchange-traded funds. Here we have to, we're going to buy whole shares. And so if I was to buy 10 shares, it's $382 a share, so that's a $3,800 trade. Let's just put 2 in. So I'm spending $765.30. Now, when we get here, we're faced with one of our sort of first vocabulary terms that we have to learn about, and that is the type of order that I'm placing, the price type. And we're going to leave these alone for right now. Don't concern yourself with stocks. If you want to learn more about these fancier order types, which I certainly think you should if you're going to trade individual stocks, come over to etrade.com/events. We've got plenty of sessions on order types. You'll be able to search for stocks in there. But I want to talk about market orders and limit orders. So you'll know what's listed here is limit 382.65. So this is saying I want to buy 2 shares, but I'm not going to pay any more than 382.65. I've got a quote up here, and I can see that the ask is 382.65. So the ask is someone willing to sell these shares to me. I can also do a trade at what is called the market, where I'm saying I'll pay whatever the prevailing price is in the less than 1 second from now that this order reaches the trading destination. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to preview the order. It's estimating I'm going to spend $766.10, but this instrument could be moving, and I might pay a little more, I might pay a little less. But I'm not concerned about that. It's going to be relatively small amounts of difference. So I'm going to place the order. I get a little feedback here that says the order has been placed. Now, I placed a market order, so my belief that all I need to do is go to my portfolio, and my shares are going to be there. So let's go to the portfolio and take a look at what we got. Well, what do you know? I see 3 different rows in my holdings here, and there is SPY, the shares that I just bought, and the other 2 are stocks that I put in this account before we did this, just so we could see some values in there. Now, your portfolio has a bunch of different ways to look at your investments, and I know maybe, again, for brand new investors, some of this might be a little daunting. If you're more experienced, you'll realize all of these are important, as I said, sort of views. So here in the main positions view, it gives you last price, how the stock is doing today, how much of it you have, what you paid for it, the day's gain, the total gain, and then values. Over here, always look for the gears and for things that say customized, because that's going to give you a place where you can create your own view if you wish. And so I'm just going to scroll down, and you can see our platform will allow you to use 16 of these, and the purple checks indicate the ones that I chose. Once again, if you're a brand new investor, many of these things are probably looking like Greek to you. But I think the ones that I've chosen are relatively obvious, and you could certainly comb through those to create whatever kind of a view you want. I'm just going to cancel it. Also, larger holders, people that hold a lot of different stocks, there are a number of ways of sorting through them, so digging in just to find a position on one particular symbol or related symbol. So lots of stuff to work with there. And then up at the top is are several tabs that are really also valuable. Performance, this is going to show you the performance of your investments over time. Now, this account doesn't trade very much, but as you can see, it has risen because periodically we make a purchase to demonstrate something and sell it, and it turns out there's been some profitable ones in this account, but from no further strategic item. Margin, if you're a margin account, again, this is something we don't need to discuss. Margin lets you borrow additional funds to make stock trades. It's a more advanced function. Again, no need to look behind this curtain if you're a newer investor. If you've been investing a little bit and you're curious about it, you can come in here and check this out. Gains and losses, estimated income, all important ways to look at and review and view your portfolio and your values. Let's go back to Complete View. So what I did right off was just go into the all-star list and pick something off there. Remember, I do think it's important, if you'll think back to our second session where we talked about investing essentials, we were really talking about being diversified there. And that means having more than having slices in your pie. And so if you consider things like how to balance the equities versus the stocks and use some of the examples that I used, now you come into the all-star list and you go in and go to each asset class and review those potential funds in there. And you can build your pie if you want to do it on a self-directed basis that way. But you can also, and we've talked about this already, let's go to mutual funds again. Let's go to ETFs again. I'm just going to stick with ETFs here a little bit. Because another approach are the pre-built portfolios. And I know Sean talked a little bit about this as well. Now, this is just a starting point. Some folks were asking about sort of the returns of these things, but these are not tracked that way. This is just an example of, hey, if at this point you want to get started with a diversified portfolio, one of these four simple ones, here's an example. But it's not tracked as a performance portfolio. If you're interested in that, you can check out what we offer and then core portfolios. Core portfolios is like what is often called a robo-advisor. I don't love that term, but it's an automated investment program where it works through for you what your investment goals are, how much money is involved, how much time is involved in your horizon, what is your risk tolerance. Remember, that was a big discussion point in our second session, Investing Essentials. And all of that comes together to actually give you a recommended portfolio that is then tracked for performance in your platform, is available in our mobile apps, our one mobile app, E-Trade Mobile. And so this is, again, sort of like getting advice from an objective platform. It's not a person giving you the advice. So those are two ways, either pre-built, which basically you're just buying it off the shelf and managing it yourself from that point forward, or core portfolios that can both give you a way to get started in that diversification approach. Let's go back to Complete View and talk a little bit about stocks, because that sort of, I imagine that for many of you, there is that's where your allure is to understand better about investing in stocks. And so I'm going to go into this in a little more detail, but one of the important things that you'll need to learn is why we use various measures and display them to you on here. Things like beta, things like the PE ratio, earnings per share. All of this is all about what makes this stock tick. And if you're going to buy a stock, you need to make your best effort to have some sort of an understanding of this stock and how it compares. Now, I've used Starbucks as an example here because I think all of us can go, I get their business model. Okay, I know what they do. They got these stores. They've got baristas. They've got pumpkin at this time of year, and I love that stuff. And so you can get your head around what they do. What about a company called AmerisourceBergen? I'm going to guess that more than half of you have perhaps never even heard of this company. How would you go about learning about it? It turns out that it's a company that's in pharmaceutical distribution, so they're middlemen in distributing pharmaceuticals from the manufacturers to the payers and to the pharmacies. So having some sense of how to learn about that, this is where you're going to want to start to use research. And you're going to want to try to if a stock is handed to you by your brother-in-law, you want to take time to figure it out. And it is in this area with analyst research and looking at their earnings and their fundamentals. And this is part of what we're going to talk about in the upcoming session, finding a stock and making the trade. We'll go into a little more detail on making the trade than I just did, and we will spend considerable more time in the platform using our stock screener to go find stocks. So we are at 2:45. That's our expected end time. Let me suggest to Rick or Sean, if there's reason to have a couple of minutes of conversation, we can. By the way, I've been told that for each of these sessions, a reminder email goes out, and it's timed to go out 15 minutes before, but I've been told that it's been going out more like at 53 minutes past. So I've noticed that as well. So pay attention to that. And there always, as always, there's a link in that. If you want to continue on, you can just use that link. Rick, Sean, should we address any questions that came up, or are we good to let people
Dave,
go?
I'm going to hit you with one that we don't usually get when we're doing our other educational sessions, and I think it's because of the nature of how we catered this. Is there ever a reason to have more than one account? And I know often we're showing drop-down menus and saying, hey, we would have different numbers of accounts. You want to quickly address why and how you may have different accounts?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of reasons why. I mean, one example would be, let's call it this, different ownership. So what I mean is I might have an account in my name alone. I might then also have an account in a joint tenants account with my wife and I. There are also two accounts that I have where I am the custodian for my children. So one for my son, one for my daughter. So that's 4 accounts now. Then there's an IRA account. And then within this, you can even consider having multiple brokerage accounts if your investing and trading behavior is distinctly different. So that is certainly one reason. So for instance, I have 2 IRAs, one of which is smaller, which it is non-diversified, which I use to trade. It's a much smaller slice of my IRA assets, and my bigger IRA is where I'm asset class diversified, which we've been talking about all day. So behavior and who owns the money are two reasons. So there we go. I'm going to close out, I think, unless I get interrupted right now.
I'm interrupting.
Sounds like we're good.
I'm interrupting. Yeah, okay. I'm going to interrupt real quick. Can you please show where we have a, quote, mock trading? It's going to go a little bit kind of beyond what we're covering here, but if hopefully people are getting excited and saying, great, I think I can do this. Is there a paper money application that I can get out there and practice? Then I'll leave you.
There is. So it's in what's called the Launchpad. Now, I had it closed because I just wanted to simplify the page, but when you open it, you'll see Power E-Trade up top, and right below that, paper trading. It launches in a browser window. All you have to do is click it. It runs on a clone of our Power E-Trade platform. Now, this is a little more advanced of a platform, but it's not impossible. Don't worry. Don't be afraid of that word power. It's just a browser-based system with menus and clickable things and fairly easy to get around. And if you want more info on it, if you go to etrade.com/events, you'll find recorded sessions where we do an overview of Power E-Trade or put Power E-Trade through separate tasks like using charts or trading stocks or what have you. And then again, the paper trading account, it's $100,000 of fake money. There's 2 great benefits to it. One, you can test an idea. If you think a stock is moving, you buy it today. The prices are occurring along with the real prices in the market. And you can also then get familiarity with the platform. In next session, we're not going to be using Power E-Trade. Maybe I'll go over and use it once, but I'm really still focusing on the website here. Again, because this is elementary level approach. Okay, we're at 49, so we're going to say adieu. I am back at in the next session, 3 o'clock, I think, doing finding the stock and making the trade, and then Rick's going to wrap us up with a session on alternative investments. Hope you'll stick around for all of that. And once again, folks, remember, we want that survey feedback. We would love to hear your opinion of the day, the content, my voice, whatever. Thanks, guys, on the back end. Thanks to all of you. We'll be back in a few. Bye-bye.